Hello everyone, and welcome back to more Parasite Eve 2. We're now going to head to Neo Arc, that area that Pierce and Dia talked about last video. Be sure you have saved your game because there will not be another opportunity to save until we leave Neo Arc. You can come back and save, but it's needless backtracking, so you don't want to do that.
Excuse me, sir?
Yes, come in.
It's really strange the few lines of dialogue that are actually voiced in this game. This is just a conversation between the president and a member of his staff. The member of the staff is telling him that their mole found their target, but that this target can't be easily destroyed. And they discuss a backup plan, but don't get too specific about that backup plan. We'll see something in a moment which I assume is related to that backup plan, but I'm not sure what it is.
Oh yeah.
The president also mentions that Congress doesn't need to know about any of this. Which for a Japanese game to acknowledge Congress as a thing is pretty surprising, actually. All this really does is let us know that there's a political and military aspect to the story that we have not known about to this point. It does feel a bit shoehorned in. We're in the last third of the game, and it's just now showing up. So we're just seeing some satellite thing here. I don't know if their backup plan is to do something like they did in Resident Evil Revelations, where they used some sort of a giant sunbeam laser to nuke a city. That could be what they're going for. I'm not really sure. Excellent. So let's head into Neo Arc. Ah, damn it. So right here, Pierce is just being annoying. He's going on the intercom, just saying that those trackers that he was talking about last video don't work in Neo Arc, so he can't track anything in Neo Arc. Somewhere during that conversation, and I don't know, it must have got cut. I know they talk about a barrier, which I know that made it into the conversation. So basically with this barrier, there are some creatures that are causing this barrier, and we have to destroy them. I don't know that the game specifically tells you this, but that's what we have to do. And I assume these boss fights can be really annoying.
Welcome to Neo Arc.
Hey, look at all this voice acting we're getting this video. Man, it's a voice acting extravaganza! I probably should have cut all this. But you can read it if you want. I don't know what it says. Probably background to Neo Arc. This area took me ages. One of the things I like to do in this game would be play a little bit, reload my save so that I can play it again for recording purposes, and have some idea of what I'm doing. I was not able to do that with this part because there's no save point down here. You would think putting a save point right here would have been a simple spot. This is right in the middle of Neo Arc. That way at least you could come back up here and save. I know from here to the actual last save point isn't that far. But when you're adding that on to traveling through these areas, that does start to get a little longer. Especially once some red zones start popping up and we have to deal with more enemies. And speaking of enemies... Oh, and that's why I said fuck it and turned on my Game Shark. I was not willing to deal with this. Go all the way through here, die towards the end, which would have happened. And then have to do this all over again. As you can see, I'm not using infinite health. I just wanted the stat increase for my health. So the chances of dying would be very slim. So if you come in here, there's a puzzle we need to solve. I'm going to show you where the solution to it is. The soundtrack got really, really annoying to me, being in here as long as I was. It's not really that bad. So the only thing that can be kind of tough is to figure out which direction all of these things need to go. I assume all three of these will open up the door, but I'm not sure on that. Actually, probably not. Just the red one will. And you'll know what I'm talking about here coming up. We've got a block puzzle to do. These red blocks, the symbols I believe are already in order. We need to get them going diagonally, with the first one being in the bottom left and the fourth being in the top right. I did like having to do a puzzle again. That was pretty nice, being able to sit here and try to figure this out. I went ahead and did the blue one as well. I think that one needed to be all the way up at the top. And that'll open up a grave that you can get an MP boost to. The yellow has to be all the way to the left. So it'll go top to bottom on the left. I don't remember which order that goes in though. I think the first one for that one is at the top left. And then it goes all the way down to the bottom left. That just spawns a couple of enemies, which I went ahead and fought just to get the extra EXP, but I'm not going to show any of that because I was afraid this video was going to be an hour long. Thankfully it's not that bad, and it's not even close to the longest video in this LP, but I wasn't sure as long as it took me to get through this area. So I didn't want to take any chances. So we have a couple of boss fights in this area. How difficult are they going to be? Well, that really depends on decisions that you've made up until this point. I'm not sure what Aya's on about here. Yeah, if you haven't been able to notice, you're not getting any of our lovely voice acting this video. There's not really a whole lot of actual story progression. We're basically just dealing with a problem that came up at the end of last video. Some sort of a barrier that I'm not even sure what this barrier does or what the issue is at this point. You would think at this point they would just be calling in the troops. So you can see there are a bunch of cameras there. If you did not turn off the security cameras, then we would have to deal with that. Oh, and that was the Inferno ability, which I now have. So we just need to shoot this computer. We cannot damage that creature until we've shot this computer. And now we can just destroy these cameras for some extra EXP before we go take down the monster. This does take a little longer than I would like it to, but the boss itself isn't too bad, so I can't really complain too much. One could argue that you would think it would put up some sort of a fight, but as you can tell, it's very docile. It'll just sit there and let us kill it. So I'm guessing these things are either human, kind of like Dr. Bowman, who turned himself into one of these things, or allowed himself to be turned, I don't remember which. Mixed with Aya's DNA, I guess? I'm not really sure. Kind of confusing there. Or I don't know if they're making creatures out of Aya's DNA and Eve's DNA. Pretty damn convoluted. I feel like storytellers shouldn't try telling convoluted stories unless they're actually capable of telling that kind of a story. Oh look, more enemies. Get used to seeing Inferno because you're going to be seeing it a lot the rest of the LP. Which will end up being 14 videos most likely. Even worse, you're pretty much just going to see Inferno level 1. I'm not going to max this out until we get to the final boss. Which is unfortunate. But what are you going to do? So that's all we needed to do down there for now. I will have to come back down here in order to clear out enemies later. Whenever red zones pop up, but that's not something you guys will have to deal with. This thing here is just mentioning that there's a fire, and for some reason that fire caused the next pathway to open up. This next area would be locked if we tried to go down it first. I don't know where this fire is. We never see it. The only fire I can think of was IS car that was on fire. Or the area in front of the Acropolis Tower where there was some fire. I don't really remember any other fire in this game so far. Unless, of course, you count IS setting creatures on fire. Then there's a lot of fire. But the story seems to get a bit far-fetched and out there at this point. I kind of prefer stories that are a little bit more grounded, and we are going to meet a new enemy here. I do not like these things at all. Hi. I don't like you. You're not cool. Have some fire. And these things do not die in one hit to this thing. I'm sure if you upgrade it, they probably do. But that's not something I'm ever going to deal with. So I believe we're just getting a clue to a puzzle coming this way. And a cool little scene there. This looks like an area that would be underwater. And it might be, actually. We're going to come up in an area near some water, so that might have gone underground. I can't tell. There's not much we can do over here yet. Except, like I said, get a clue to a puzzle, which is one of the easiest puzzles in gaming history. Even easier than that stupid, well, any Resident Evil 4 puzzle. They're all really easy in that game. Don't worry, I'm not going to say the insult towards that game that I wanted to say right now. I don't actually hate that game, to be honest with you. I just think it's very, very overrated. And there's our clue to the puzzle. Good times. But as you can see, they mention having an artificial sun, which I guess is why they have this area being created. It's definitely a Japan thing. This is definitely something they would do in Japanese storytelling. Just this weird out there shit, which isn't necessarily bad in and of itself. It's just when the story has seemed mostly fairly grounded up until this point. To get a bit out there is kind of annoying. This is some Umbrella shit here. This big base under the ground. I'm not even sure if you could really build a structure like any of these areas you see in any of these games underground. This massive. I know they have structures that go underground, but I can't imagine they're that big. Oh look, more of these guys. The thing that gets really annoying about these things is they can stun lock you. And it takes a little bit to charge up Inferno, so they do have an opportunity to hit you before you can get that attack off. I actually kind of like the look of the water and the effect of walking through it in this game. Eat fire! Damn you! You're supposed to eat my flames of justice and die! Not attack me! I didn't want to miss any of these things because I want all the EXP I can get. I was really hoping to activate all the magic attacks. Unfortunately, I was not able to do so. I did show off all the ones that I could, There's only one new one that I'm going to show off, and that's going to be during the final boss, so it's probably not the best time to do that, plus it'll be level 1. Yeah, just come in there with the Inferno, would be my advice. Although if for some reason somebody's looking at my videos for a walkthrough, then they're in trouble, because while I do try to talk about this game, as you can see, I'm not exactly playing legit at this point. And my only excuse for that is just I did not want to redo shit. Yeah, just keep turning this thing and eventually it'll lock into place for you automatically. So you can see what I mean. Easy puzzle. Hooray! And now we get another puzzle. I kind of like this one actually. I'm not sure how exactly you're supposed to come to the solution, except that if you fail at this, then you will have to start over from the beginning, so you can kind of do a process of elimination to figure it out. I love those chanting sounds that happen whenever you step on one of these. It feels like they're making fun of Native Americans, but I'm not sure that that's what they're doing. This does look a little bit tribal. I hope that's not what they're doing. But it does seem like a little bit of a strange sound effect to play whenever you're doing this. I still kind of like it though. I don't know why. The sound design in this game is really bizarre. I've talked about it before. The creatures make kind of silly sounds, which make them feel cartoony. And a lot of them, especially the pumas, look very cartoony anyways. And here's the second one of these that you can do. After you've unlocked the first thing, we need to go ahead and do this one. For these, you just need to step on them in a certain order in a certain amount of times. And I didn't want to show that at normal speed because why bother? It's pretty straightforward what I was doing there. And I showed the first half of this puzzle in normal speed. Excellent. So, what this second half of this puzzle does is allow us to activate this lever, which will open up an alternate path we can take. So technically, I believe we could have gone the way we need to go. Don't worry, I'm not going to show this cutscene again. But there's some extra stuff that we can go look into. So I definitely want to take advantage of that. Excellent. So we'll be coming back here later to flip that switch again. So remember how to get back here, because I'm not going to show me coming all the way back here. I'm just going to cut from where we're going back to that room. Yeah, you guys are annoying. And I'm OP as fuck, so piss off. At this point, enemies just feel more like a nuisance than anything else. Although I can see where they're necessary to get experience and battle points. There's a gun I wanted to buy at the end of the game, and I was just a few hundred, maybe even 200 short of being able to afford it. And I'd taken out all the enemies in the game, so I couldn't go back and find any more enemies to fight to get the needed battle points in order to buy that gun. I was so pissed. It's a grenade launcher, but unlike the other one that we had, or this grenade attachment, it could hold multiple grenades at once, so you weren't reloading after every shot. And I'm very sad that I don't have it. Quit it! No one likes you. I always forget I have that attachment, and it's really handy. Especially against those things. You can use some magic, stun them, and then use more magic if you want to go that route. Although, if you're playing this legit, then you won't be able to do that. Oh, God, more of you. And I don't know why the game put me on that magic instead of keeping me on Inferno. And that's going to cause me to take a lot of damage I did not want to take. Back off! I got a shotgun, bitch. And I have fire. What do you have? Nothing. Except the ability to stun lock me. You do have that. You know, this is why no one likes you. Aya, would you try shooting the thing, please? I also wish they gave these creatures their own unique sound. And at this point, a lot of red zones opened up. So off screen, I ran around to clear those out. Pretty much anytime we do something that's going to make game progress, defeating these two bosses for this area, activating that lever, a bunch of red zones will open up, and I wanted to get all the EXP I could. And BP for that matter. You guys, you always think you can hang with the big boys. Or girl in this case. That never works out for you, does it? And you don't really do anything, you just kind of pop your head up to say hello. Maybe that's all they were trying to do, is just poke their head out of the water just to say hello. Maybe they just wanted Aya to pet them. Weird. That would be very unfortunate if they were friendly and just trying to get Aya to pet them, and Aya was just killing them. Although very fitting for Aya's character. Aya is a sweetie, if not a bit dense. Okay, that was not very nice of you. Don't do that anymore. I'm not gonna lie, Aya is not the smartest character I've ever played as. She's not the dumbest, though. I think the characters in Resident Evil 1, the original, probably take that crown. Although I never thought too highly of the dude that you play as in GTA 4. I never completed that game, but I remember getting so irritated with that game just because I could not stand the main character and disagreed with just about every decision he made. Look, it ain't gotta be like this. I don't want to pet you. Aya is not a lover of animals. This is why she does not own pets. That, and she's probably afraid they would grow to an enormous size and try to kill her, or she would set them on fire. Oh look, a sub-boss. At least this one fights back, so this is kind of like the actual boss of the area, just because there is at least some challenge to this, not much. If you don't have the enhanced stats that I have, then you probably need to look into using a healing item occasionally, or just actually running, which I'm not doing. But other than that, there's not really much to this fight. I assume this thing is weak to fire, and we're using Firefly rounds. Or shells, actually. You don't have rounds for a shotgun, they're shells. Whatever. As annoyed as I am with this area, I can't really say that any particular portion of it is annoying. Not being able to see where my character's going right there kind of was a little, but that's not the game's fault. So we took this alternate path in order to pick up this item. It's a skull. You can attach it to your belt, and it increases the damage that your guns do. So we have an item that increases the damage our magic does. We now have an item that increases the damage our guns do. There's a lipstick in this area. You might want to pick that up. I'm going to get that off screen because I forgot to pick it up while running through here. But I had to come back here anyways. I think it was to fight enemies. And I just had the jump cut back over to here. Like I said before, I wasn't going to waste video time showing me walk all the way back over here and then all the way back. So once we activate that lever, that locks that gate that we just went through, but it'll open up another gate that we need to go through to actually progress. And I'm still talking like this is a walkthrough when it's clearly not. I've already said I'm going to be using my Game Shark the rest of the LP. The difficulty after this section spikes dramatically. And I'm sure there are some good strategies for fighting the things that we're going to have to deal with that I just don't know. You know, you guys have become kind of redundant at this point. Had this video been any longer, I probably would have started cutting some of these fights. And I'm probably not making this area seem too bad, and like I said, it's really not that bad, it's just there's no save point, which makes it kind of tough. And you get a bunch of red zones where enemies respawn, and there was a situation where I almost died because of these things. I believe these are the roach things that almost killed me at one point. They're generally pretty resilient, although they died there to fire, so if they are the same things that nearly killed me, I'm not sure why those things gave me so much trouble. But they can inflict some sort of a status effect on you. You have to flip them on their back in order to do damage. They are pretty annoying, so those probably are different creatures than the ones I just killed. Would be my guess. I don't know. I'm really tired. So, what does everybody think of the Snyder Cut of Justice League that just came out a couple of days ago? I have not seen it because I do not have a torrent program on my computer. I should get one of those. I'm not exactly going to sign up for that streaming service. I don't do that shit. The only one I have is Prime, and the only reason I have Prime is because originally the idea was if you sign up for Prime, then you get free 2-day shipping. I think it eventually got taken down to 1-day shipping. The problem with that is everything I order from Amazon anymore comes from sellers. So nothing I order is eligible for Prime shipping. I'm guessing the only things you can actually get Prime shipping on are items that are actually sold from Amazon, but for some stupid reason, they lump items that you buy through sellers in with items that you get from Amazon, and I don't like that they do that at all. I think that they should just be in their own separate category, on the same page, but in a different category. So if you click Add to Cart, that should add to cart an item from Amazon itself, and if they don't have it in stock, I'm not sure what Aya's going on about here. Something about the barrier's gone, but she still feels a presence or something like that, which is probably something we're going to deal with next video that I can think of. We have seen that something in glimpses throughout this playthrough already, but not too much yet. So the only streaming service I have is Prime, but I don't have it for the streaming service. I have it for the shipping. But unfortunately that's doing me no good, so I am thinking I need to cancel that actually. I probably will. Although to be fair, Prime at least has a couple of shows that I want to see on there. I started watching Farscape about 2 weeks ago. I've never seen that show until I started watching it. Now. I remember seeing commercials for it whenever Stargate moved to the Sci-Fi Channel. But I just never got around to watching it. Because at the time, we already got quality TV, so I didn't really feel as much of a need to venture out and watch other shows. But now that we're in a bit of a drought with really no good TV shows coming out in the last 10 years except for The Expanse. At least I can't think of a show that's come out in the last 10 years that's been actually good. Except for The Expanse. Okay, I take that back. The first couple of seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really liked. Before that show went, I'll just say bonkers and leave it at that. The writing really suffered after season 2. Eat flames! Right, I think here's where I realized that a bunch of red zones opened up, so off screen I decided to go back and kill a bunch of enemies. But we should have taken out that barrier now that we killed those 2 monsters, so we should be good. Maybe? Question mark? Ah, my damn depth perception. Gets me into trouble every time. And I had a lot of trouble finding the way out of here. It's at a weird camera angle and I could not see it at all. I know, I could have checked the map. I did try looking at the map, my blind ass still didn't see it. So this took me a while, but it's right here. Kind of in the direction of that one staircase leading down, but not exactly. Alright, let's get the fudge out of here and hope we never have to go back to Neo Arc. I can't remember if I showed this off or not, but you could see these ahead of time. Oh God. And it sounds like our boy number 9 is busy. And unfortunately, this is going to mean that we are going to be busy later. Fortunately, this won't be an issue we will have to deal with this video. But we are going to have to deal with them soon enough. And they are not fun to fight unless you're good at the tank controls and know the strategies for fighting these things, which I don't. And am not good at tank controls. I've got headphones on right now, and some of these sounds are startling the shit out of me. I can easily see what a friend of mine was talking about when he says that he much prefers playing horror games with headphones on. I can easily see why that's more intense. I remember noticing that when I did Silent Hill 3, and I was doing commentary for that game, and I had my sound coming through headphones. which is what I do for my videos now and have for several years. That game definitely has atmosphere. Either way, I'm going to end the video here, so thanks for watching, and I will see y'all next time with more Parasite Eve 2.